Hello, RWorld, and welcome back to RWorld Talk. We've got an exciting guest for you guys today, like I always say, but it's my man, Jarrod Lowe. How you doing, Jarrod?
I'm doing wonderful. Any day I get to be here with you hanging out is a good day for me.
Aw, you're too kind. So, Jarrod, you've got you were obviously a past president of our association. You've continued your leadership journey, going up the ranks at Florida Realtors, now serving as the State PAC Trustee for Florida Realtors. Now, you are the chair of the state trustees for our PAC at Florida Realtors.
Correct.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Who's the man? Who's Jarrod Lowe? Where do you come from?
So born and raised in Okeechobee, Florida, actually. Come from the country. After high school, I went right away to college, went to the University of North Florida. My first semester of college is when September 11th happened. Shortly thereafter, joined the Marine Corps. Proceeded to do that, both active duty on the reserve side as well through some deployments. A few years later, started doing law enforcement.
Okay.
Was in that, leading all the way up until I became a realtor, which I became a realtor in 2012. Beginning of 2012 is when I became licensed.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, for sure. It was an honor.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I know about Jarrod Lowe.
Oh, boy.
The incredible man, Jarrod Lowe.
This could go one of two ways, either really good or really bad.
I know. You know, I don't have a bad thing at all to say. You've been a mentor of mine for many, many years, and for that, I'm very, very appreciative. I look up to you in more ways than one. One, because you're much taller than me, so I have to look up to you. But in all seriousness, you've been a friend and a confidant. But I can't tell our listeners how much I truly respect and love and admire you. You've always been sort of the true north for me and really a beacon of hope for a lot of things that we go through when faced with adversity in this business or in our personal lives. You've always been there for me. So for that, I truly thank you.
I appreciate you. That means a lot coming from you, even though you just made a Golden Girls reference.
So, I mean, we see you on the stage all the time. You're a fantastic, articulate speaker, but I think that a lot of people know you as that person that's always like commanding attention on some pretty big stages, but they miss out on the big old cuddly teddy bear that you are, and people don't realize that you're as much of a goofball as I do. You certainly love to have fun and always make people feel welcomed and appreciated, and I think a lot of people have a lot of respect for you just because you're truly just a real person, and we love you for that.
I appreciate that because, you know, obviously with my previous careers, that's something that I struggle with, especially early on, that intimidation factor, learning how to talk to people and let that fun side come out. It's something that quite honestly is taking me up, and I mean, it's something, let's be honest, I'm still working on to this day to really show my true colors, because while I am very excited about things and passionate about things, sometimes I come off as being a little too serious about things. So if I ever come across someone that way, I just welcome and encourage them to approach me and have a conversation with me. And I hope that from that conversation, they can get to know a little bit about the real me as well.
Yeah, and they'll certainly learn a lot from you because you've got a lot of experience with a lot of different things. You just entered into, like I said, your new role as Florida Realtors PAC Trustees Chair. Correct. That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
You've been serving as a trustee for the last 5 years.
Right.
And what does that role mean for you? And tell us a little bit about what the PAC Trustees do, because some of our listeners may not know.
I mean, first and foremost, it's truly, you know, an honor to be selected to be a PAC Trustee. There's 13 districts across the state of Florida. I was honored to be the representative for our district, District 11. In the most basic sense, what we do as PAC trustees is we are the stewards of the funds that are raised and or voluntarily contributed by our members.
Right.
So, you know, that's really something that I take very seriously, but it's also an honor that I'm humbled to have. My commitment to making a difference is truly grounded in the careful and strategic allocation of those funds. So as state trustees, we look at those state candidates. So we evaluate them. We look at their voting record. Now, when I say voting record, that voting record means I'm looking at where they vote on our realtor-related issues.
Right.
We're looking at how strong their campaign is. What kind of funding do they have? What kind of monies have they raised? Who's supporting them? We look at a myriad of different things before we make those determinations. I think it is important to note that at no point during that did I say we look at social issues.
I was just going to ask you if you guys take into account any social issues. That's important.
And obviously, in the day and age we're in, obviously, politics, people are pretty polarized these days.
Right.
But the one thing we try to do is to ensure that we can bring our members, unite our members together around common goals and objectives, something that we can all agree upon. I think the very thing that makes not only this nation incredibly amazing, but our association and every way that we do business is our diversity. We have people from every different background, every different walk of life with different perspectives. They all have a say and they all have a voice in everything that we do. So the last thing that we want to do is alienate 50% of our membership base by getting involved in social issues.
Right.
So we specifically look at what people support and champion realtor-related issues.
Right. And I think for you guys that are listening, we did speak about that on our last episode with Nate Parsons, who's one of our government affairs directors, that this really has nothing to do with social issues. Everything that we do as far as our advocacy efforts, it's always realtor issues. It's what affects our business, what affects the homeowners, what affects private property rights.
We call them realtor champions for a reason. We have plenty of members out there that have sponsored or co-sponsored legislation that propels and moves the needle forward for us in our real estate space. And we have those individuals that are constantly voting and advocating and fighting right along with us, boots on the ground, to making sure that we're able to accomplish and achieve our objectives. Right. And those are the people that we want to provide support for.
So we just went to Great American Realtor Days in Tallahassee. That was 2 weeks ago. It was interesting because we had incredible storms that had sort of gone swept right through the state, but specifically in the Panhandle. I mean, they had tornadoes and downbursts and all kinds of stuff that was going on. We're all trying to fly into Tallahassee from South Florida. Yeah. We had people that were left in Orlando. They were left in Atlanta, people that were diverted to Jacksonville. I got diverted back to Fort Lauderdale and had to try again the following day. But the amazing thing is that our members dug in, they got creative, and they figured out a way to continue their travels and make it to Tallahassee. So in your opinion, why was it so essential for those people to make that trip? And why do you think all those members said, it doesn't matter where I just got put, I'm going to figure it out? We rented cars, we rented vans, we caravanned up to Tallahassee, we figured it out and we got it done.
Yeah, and I think, that's a testament that the members that we have in our association, the leaders that we have in our association, are not going to let any type of adversity prevent them from achieving their goals. And so it's pretty incredible. I know the group I was with, we were very blessed to be traveling with our incredible president and president-elect. After 3 hours in Orlando sitting there after we were diverted from Tallahassee, our flight was canceled, and they said, you know what, we're going to rent some vans and we're going to drive that final 4 hours. And that's exactly what we did. We still made it up there.
Right.
And I think that's important because it is truly one of the most important trips that we take every year. It's an opportunity for us as members to sit down face to face with our legislators and tell them what our priorities are, what the issues are impacting the districts that they represent. Each of us go to our specific districts. So, Broward, Palm Beach, St. Lucie, the counties that our association includes. We sit down with those representatives that represent those districts, and we talk to them obviously about state issues. We also talk to them about those hyper-local issues that are impacting the communities we serve and the people we serve in those communities. So it's an opportunity to do that, but it's also an opportunity to give praise where praise is due.
Absolutely.
I just spoke about, sponsors and co-sponsors of legislation, those individuals that are constantly out there doing everything they can to support us. I think, like everything else in life, it's all about relationships. And you have to nurture a relationship if you want it to thrive. And that's exactly what we do there.
Right. Yeah, we had over 1,000 realtors made the trip up to Guard, and Broward, Palm Beaches, and St. Lucie realtors met with 26 different legislators there. And it was funny because as you're walking the halls and you're going and sitting in on these meetings, it's not just talking about Florida Realtors talking points. There were a lot of thank yous for the work that they have done over the last couple of years that have gotten us to the point that we're at now with a lot of the different pieces of legislation that they're working on. But we're also talking about, how are your kids? I know we were sitting in Representative Silver's office and talking about different kinds of bourbon. And I mean, you really have to, I think our key contact program that we have with Florida Realtors is exceptional. And it allows us the time to really work with these legislators throughout the year. So that way, when we get to go up to Tallahassee, we actually have things to talk about, not just go in there and drop talking points on their desk. It's really, hey, I followed up and I saw that you actually did vote on this and you did support this bill. Thank you so much, because you just moved the needle to help every Floridian.
Right.
It's incredible the work that we do. And it is great that we're able to craft those relationships, and they're real relationships. We see them at different functions throughout the year when we get back home, but it's nice to go and see them at their offices up in Tallahassee and have a real conversation with them.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the years, like I said, I've been doing the trustees 5 years. Obviously, you always hear members are going to grumble, members are going to complain because they don't really understand the processes. Well, why did you give monies to this person? Why did you support this person? They don't really truly understand everything going on in the background. So it's great to be there and for those members to be able to see the relationships that we have and the influence that we have to ensure that we have a seat at the table when important things are being discussed. And I want to bring one up in particular just because it was so vital to our sustainability as realtors, and that was being made essential service during the COVID pandemic.
Right.
It was our advocacy efforts and, more importantly, our relationships that we had that ensured that right for us to continue to do business and to be as successful and profitable as we were. And so obviously with having a seat at the table and having that, we're going to support those individuals that allow us to have that opportunity as well. And I think that's something that is very, very vital for our members to know and understand, is that these relationships are very, very important for our sustainability in the future.
Right. Yeah, I had a meeting with Representative Skidmore, who I'm key contact for, and it was so nice this year because you know what her track record was. We know that she's behind all of our realtor issues. A lot of the talking points that we had this year, the same talking points that we had last year and some from the year before, because they're things that we're continually working on, or programs that need continuous funding, like the Live Local Act or Hometown Heroes or something like that. And it was nice to sit down with her and just say, thank you for this, thank you for this, thank you for this, and then have a real conversation about what she has going on outside of realtor issues, hear about what drives her passion and the bills that she has filed. And one of them, because we've had such a hard time with insurance and really getting some insurance reform going, it was nice to have a conversation with her about a federal memorial that she had filed to get a nationwide cap fund put together for like a catastrophe pool fund for insurance. If something were to happen, they've got monies to pull from. And it's something that's thinking outside the box. It's not something that she can do on her own within the state of Florida, but it's nice to know that she's calling out other people on the federal level from states across the nation in order to get help to actually affect some real change on the insurance front.
Not to mention it's something that both sides of the aisle should be able to agree upon. Absolutely. And work together to accomplish, which I think now more than ever, we need people willing to work across the aisle to champion everything for the greater good of all of us.
Exactly. Awesome. Great point. Can you share with us some of Florida Realtors' talking points that we were walking the halls with today?
Oh, sure.
Look at your face.
Obviously, the biggest priority for all of us, I think most of us would agree, is insurance reform.
Right.
It started in 2019, really hit its stride in 2021 with some pretty groundbreaking reform. We had another special session in 22 with some additional reform. Obviously, some of the biggest issues we're focusing on, the assignment of benefits, which builds on that 2019 law, barring the transfer of the one-way attorney fee provisions.
Right.
We're looking at protections from non-renewals on policy, specifically when it comes to age of roof. What we were seeing is that people were denied renewals just based on the age of their roof, even though they were roofs that were newer than 2015. So we're looking at protections on that. Looking at approving the affordability of the policies, they did $2 billion towards a new RAP program, which is going to incentivize those insurers to reduce their premiums, which is really huge. We're looking at the unscrupulous roof solicitors. Obviously, I think most of us would agree that that's a big reason as to why we're in the Pandemic. Let's use the word predicament that we're in now with the insurance marketplace, those unscrupulous roof solicitors.
Right.
So we're taking a hard look at that. I think we all know and we all realize, at least I hope we do, none of these are quick fixes. These are all things that are going to take time, but and when I say we, I mean we as leaders within the association, but our legislators as well, have been working tirelessly to make some changes that we truly believe will improve our insurance landscape and marketplace.
Right. Hometown Heroes and Live Local. That was another one that we touched on. They're looking at putting another $100 million into the budget to sort of refund, because that money went so quick. I think we were able to help.
2 months.
How many families did you get?
I can't remember the number of families. I know it was $100 million that went in just in 2 months. It was gone.
Then at the end of 2023, there was another 35 million or so that was injected in there, and that went so fast.
Yeah. So the administrator of the program, which is the Florida Housing Finance Corporation,
right,
they actually saw the success of that program and reallocated assets into the program to meet the demands of the applications. I mean, the success of that program is just incredible. And when you talk about groundbreaking legislation, unprecedented housing legislation, that's exactly what that was. And when you're talking about making a difference and an impact in your communities and around your state, that's something that has helped everyone that has had the opportunity to learn about it and to actually apply for it. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, the Hometown Heroes program was incredible on its own, but then when they had put forth Senator Claudiude put forth, the Pasadomo helped her as well with that, putting forth the Live Local Act that now expanded that assistance to anybody who was with a Florida-based company,
right,
as opposed to just our frontline workers. It really opened the door for a lot more people to be able to get that down payment assistance, which is, I mean, it's absolutely incredible, because we're having an affordability crisis right now. So it was amazing to see, and adding that extra $100 million this year in this session, I think puts us that much closer to that being an evergreen fund, where we're going to be able to pull from that for homeowners for years to come without having to put any more money into the program, which would be really nice to see.
Absolutely. We've seen and heard that they're fully committed to continuing funding that. And, their ultimate goal is to increase the funding year over year. And I think that's something, again, when you talk about working across the aisle, housing affordability, getting people into homes is something that everyone on both sides of the aisle can get on.
So what can our members do in order to get that word out about exactly what it is that we're doing and how to tap into that program?
Yeah, first and foremost, education. We need to educate ourselves first. We have plenty of realtors that go out and are just trying to sell properties. But if you really want to represent your customers and take care of them and look after their best interests, you need to make sure that they have the resources provided to them. So our job is never typically to be the source, it's to be the source of the source. So we need to provide them with those resources. More importantly, we need to partner up with a good lender that truly understands the nuances of the program and can advise our customers on obviously the qualifications, but more importantly, the processes of the program as well.
Right.
That's vital.
Great info. Let's move over to what we just did last week. We had to go up to Florida Realtors midwinter meetings up in Orlando. You are also serving as the vice chair of public policy for Florida Realtors.
Right.
Your chair is Fernando Arancibia from Miami. Great guy, great friend of RWorld, fantastic leader. What is it like to work with him, and what are some things that came out of that meeting?
Sure, yeah. So Fernando is truly the epitome of a selfless leader, in my opinion.
I agree.
His heart and passion is for the greater good of the members in this organization and the work that we do. I truly believe he's one of the most genuine people, and that's why I just love the idea, in fact, that I get to work with him. In fact,
he's like everybody's papa.
Yeah, when he found out I was going to be the vice chair of public policy, he called me with just such enthusiasm.
Awesome.
And it just, it made my heart feel good to know that he was excited to work with me. But with with my role as trustee chair and my role as vice chair of public policy, with that comes great responsibility. I think it's not lost on any of us that we're being attacked from all angles these days. We have just so much. We just have so much adversity that we're facing as an industry. And with all of those things going on, I think that's why it's important. And I hate to go back to what I said earlier, but that's why it's important now more than ever for us to unite amongst common objectives and the fine things that divide us.
Right.
But Fernando and I got together and we said, okay, these are 1-year appointments. And we love titles, right? We all love titles, but titles don't leave a legacy. In order to accomplish great, amazing things, we need to have consistency. We need to work together to accomplish things, not just this year, not just next year, but for many years to come. So he and I talked and we said, how can we really affect change on a larger scale and for longer term? And what we decided, we came up with a few objectives, and one of those is to strengthen the resolve of our think tank members. At Florida Realtors, I think we have 12 legislative priorities, issues that we deal with. And we have think tanks that look at all those. So all those members within those think tanks are the people that truly have their fingers on the pulses of everything happening at a hyper local level.
Right.
So they come together and they discuss what those issues are, and they bring those reports to us so that at public policy, we can look at all of these issues and actually look at what we can do to implement and affect change from those issues. So we're looking at really bringing people in. And again, the thing I talked about earlier, the fabric of the diversity of our membership, everyone from every walk of life, because the issues that are impacting the Panhandle are inherently different from the issues that are impacting Miami-Dade County.
Right.
So those members can bring that hyper local perspective in, and then we can actually make policy recommendations, bring motions forward that are going to affect and impact change at every level.
Right.
We did that during midwinter. We did bring forward 6 motions and recommendations that came out of public policy that were approved by the board of directors. If we have a few minutes, I'd like to speak on a few of those.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've got all the time in the world.
So a few of the initiatives, transparency of HOA. So we all know we had the tragedy of the Champlain Towers, which prompted obviously condo reform at a great scale. But we also need more reform when it comes to HOAs, because the statute currently only requires a disclosure which references documents related to the HOAs, which references, obviously your governing documents, references your budget, references your meeting minutes and your board minutes, all of those things. But we need teeth in that. We need to ensure greater transparency from the seller and disclosure from the seller to the buyers. So the buyers are able to obtain all of these documents, read through them, make informed-based decisions on whether or not they're moving forward within the transaction. So what we're looking at is we put forward a motion that's going to basically be another disclosure. How that ends up working out, we're not sure. It could be part of the current seller's disclosure we already have added onto that. It could be a completely different and separate disclosure. But the onus is going to be on that seller to ensure that buyers have access to these documents. We've all had stories. I've had it happen where I've made a request a dozen times to a property management company to get the docs. They want my buyers to pay. I've had upwards of $70, $80 just for myself or my buyer to receive a PDF document that takes them 36 seconds,
right.
To send.
Drag a file into an email.
There's so many different aspects to this, but the onus is going to be on the seller to ensure that the buyers have all of those documents to make the most informed-based decisions, so that if they're going to move forward, they know that they have all the information they need to make that decision.
Right.
And I think that's only going to benefit for the greater good of all of us to ensure that the buyers have that. What's that going to do? That's going to reduce post-closing litigation. That's also going to minimize the risk and liability that falls on us as real estate professionals and realtors as well.
Right.
One of the other big priorities is taxes. I've been in the business a little over a decade, and obviously one of the biggest selling points for everyone moving into our area has always been lower taxes. When you compare us to, other states, we don't have a state income tax. We have generally property tax, lower taxes in general. So that's one of the main factors that a lot of people have moved here. What we've unfortunately seen over the last decade is a burdensome increase in a lot of those fees from the school board side to the millage rate, to general property taxes in general. We've seen tremendous increases in that. So what we've done is we're actually going to solicit and bring in a third party to create a really comprehensive report that's going to go county by county and look at those increases so that we have the information that we need to start the dialogue of those discussions, whether it be at the state level within just our public policy committee, or if we really need to already start taking it to our state representatives and say, look, this is becoming a real burdensome issue. We need to really look at it now and maybe start making some changes now.
Right.
So taxes are going to be another big one for us.
Yeah, it'll be far more effective if we do the research first and can sit down with people and know exactly what it is we're talking about and show them hard evidence on exactly what that looks like across the state.
Right. And then another big one is sole member LLCs. A lot of people probably don't know this. Sole member LLCs do not provide the same protections that multi-member LLCs do within the state of Florida. And anyone watching, I would advise them, if you're a sole member LLC, really do your research and learn about the implications of it. So we're looking at really doing some research there too, and maybe affecting some change that will include those protections for sole member LLCs as well, which we've come to find out a lot of our members actually have that status within their businesses.
Right. Oh, that's great work that you guys are doing. When Jarrod was talking about the think tanks, so that you guys know, the various think tanks that we have, like you said, are all based on those different legislative priorities and issues that we deal with as realtors. So there's land use, property rights, and sustainable development. We have affordable housing think tank. We have
resort and second home,
condominium. All of those people doing that committee work and having those think tanks and then creating these motions in order to bring to public policy, so that way us as leaders can sit and get a report on exactly what came out of that think tank, what Florida Realtors' position needs to be next year when we go up to Tallahassee and sit down with our legislators for guard. It helps us come up with our talking points.
And people need to realize all of these think tanks and all these decisions have effects all across the board. When you talk about the resort and second homes, you talk about Airbnbs, all of these things. Florida thrives on tourism, right? 100 million people a year come to Florida. It's the largest economic stimulus in the state of Florida. How important is that aspect of legislation within this state?
Right.
And so when you talk about important priorities for us, obviously something like that has to be a huge priority because it has such an impact on our state on every level.
Okay. I have one more question for you. I know you're a busy guy, so we're going to let you get going, but the floor is yours. If there's anything that we left out that you want our members to know, you go for it. And then I've got one more question for you.
All I would say is, I've been doing this. I was blessed or cursed, one of the two. No, it's truly blessed to have been involved on a high level as a board of director within our association since my second year in real estate. I had some amazing mentors that brought me along through, going from a 1,200 member St. Lucie association to now the third largest realtor association in the nation. We have an incredible association. What I would implore our members is that when they have questions, when they have issues, when they have concerns, don't root your questions and your response in what you don't know. Because I think a lot of people make assumptions.
Yep.
Seek out the right people. Come and have a conversation with us. A lot of members, and it's unfortunate, but it's society in general, the first thing people like doing is getting online and start typing away.
They go straight to Facebook to air their grievances.
Absolutely. Come and have a conversation with us. We're all approachable, even if you think we aren't. Like I said, I've been working on that. But come and have a conversation. Even if we don't agree, the great thing, you and I, we've disagreed in boardrooms. I mean, I've disagreed with probably every single person that's sitting in the boardroom at some point in time. But the difference is we can cuss and discuss. We can have those conversations. But when we walk out the door, we're still friends. And at the end of the day, we want people to bring these grievances. But the last thing we want people to do is to make assumptions that they don't know. So if you have questions, before you jump online and you start airing out those grievances, come and have a conversation with our leadership, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help them understand why decisions are made and what it's made for, the greater good of the organization. So that's the one thing I would say. Before you're quick to react and question things that are going on, come and have a conversation with one of our leaders so that we can help you understand why decisions are made.
Right. Guys, he is super, super smart. So give him a call. He's an open door policy. He'd love to talk.
I'll give my cell phone number out, 772-267-6125. My phone is always on. If you have concerns, if you have questions, whether, I'm not as involved, obviously, on the higher level within the local association as much as what's going on. But if you have a question about the trustees, if you have a question about allocation of funds, who we're supporting, why we're supporting them, I'll have those conversations all day, every day, because I want people to understand why we're doing it.
Awesome. We appreciate you for that. And if you ever need somebody to kick your butt in Mario Kart, give Jarrod Lowe a call. I haven't beat him once yet.
That's a fun game.
Okay, so last question, and we ask this of all of our guests, and you happen to be a local Floridian, so you, I'm sure, are going to have a wonderful gem for us, but we've got many hidden gems in South Florida specifically, but all across the state, whether it's a restaurant, beach, hotel, anything worth checking out. What's your favorite hidden gem in the state of Florida?
You know what? I'm not even going to go the state of Florida. I'm just going to go here locally, because I'm gonna give a shout out to my favorite breakfast spot.
Okay.
So there's a place, I believe it's North Palm Beach, but technically might be considered Lake Park. It's called Southern Kitchen. So it's a local diner, family owned and operated since, I believe it's the early 80s, like 1980 or 1981. Family owned and operated. It's on the east side of US 1, about half a mile to a mile south of North Lake Boulevard. Amazing, affordable food. Even better service. I couldn't recommend it even more. You'll find me there. Used to be almost every single weekend. I've tried to cut back a little bit, but it truly is just a great, fun place to have a nice breakfast. So okay. Southern Kitchen would be my little gem. There's so many different places, and I know there's a lot of great food and places to dine and relax and enjoy, but Southern Kitchen is one of my little favorite gems.
Okay, fantastic. Southern Kitchen, if you're listening, Jarrod Lowe, free breakfast.
Yes.
It is his birthday.
Coming up, couple days.
Yeah, we've got a couple days. So happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
I will see you on Saturday. And for all you guys listening, he just gave you his phone number. So send Jarrod a little message to thank it, to wish him a happy birthday. Actually, that'll be a good gauge to see how many people are actually listening to the podcast. Get out there and text Jarrod happy birthday. All right, Jarrod, thank you so much. Thank you for being a friend, and we will see you guys right back here next time on RWorld Talk.
Have a great day, everyone. Appreciate you, brother.